Thank you so much for taking the time to putting the effort out to having Snap on your show. And so dating secularly has been difficult for me. It seems like I'm trying to make religion or heavy woo to be a deal breaker, but it's difficult to find somebody and to be open that early. It seems like. Do you have any suggestions? And I'm not, truthfully, not much into butt stuff, but if you want to be easing people's angst about that, we could talk about that too.
just easing on in, just very, very
Which is
carefully,
kind of how you should do it in the first place.
A lot of lube.
So
take your time.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
I think as far as the dating goes, I can relate so very much to the struggle of dating or the attempt to date other secular people. I would say lead with it, because there's nothing worse than getting into a situation where, you know, something that is so kind of important to you is held back until, you know, you feel you're comfortable enough to say it, and then the other person goes, oh, I didn't realize that. I thought you were just really liberal. Well, never mind then. I usually lead with that, or at least it's actually the second line on my Tinder profile now.
Yeah, it helps. And telling people that you host a show for the atheist community of Austin, I've found that to be really effective. So maybe try that. But yeah, it depends on how you're meeting folks. You know, I'm a big proponent. I've had good experiences with OkCupid, and that's definitely a big part of it.
And that does actually sort by religious affiliation.
Yeah, it allows you to put all that there. And, you know, I feel as if there are not necessarily like litmus tests that I give people, but I mean, just in the course of conversation, I feel like it usually comes up pretty quickly. I mean, if somebody asks me halfway through the first date if I'm a Scorpio, because they don't date Scorpios,
I'm like,
then
I'm out.
I'm like, well, number one, yes, I am a Scorpio, and I guess that gives me permission to be an asshole. But also, come on, that's like, just get to know me as a person and don't apply your magic bullshit to me.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying. I think that it really comes down to just dating the same advice that we would give to anybody trying to meet anybody, and recognizing that it's okay for that to be an exclusionary criteria. You know, if you're super into sports and want somebody who's going to enjoy that with you, then the more people you date, the more open you are about dating, the more comfortable you are, the more likely you are to find somebody who lines up with that ideal. And I think that your belief system, your values, that's all part of it. So whether it's, I love to hike, I love sports, I don't believe in magic, I mean, all of those things to me feel like
I don't do Jesus.
They're part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's a specific, you know, I only want to date atheist people, so much as there are, I only want to date people that I want to date, and they all happen to be atheists.
Yeah.
I mean, there are atheist-specific dating websites, I should mention. None of them look impressive to me personally.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah,
please show me.
You know, I'm forgetting the names, but there are like anti-Christian mingle type organizations, and the truth of it is they're all owned by the same organization, like Christian Mingle and J-Date and a lot of these very specific datings. They're all owned by the same folks. So we can talk about their corporate value system, but in any case,
I think it has to do with green.
Yeah, I would just say date and be upfront about who you are and what your values are. Ask thought-provoking questions.
Okay, and it sounds like I'm using your profile, using using these internet dating apps is a good way of doing a first filter.
I think so. Online dating is certainly not the only way to date, but it is really becoming the most common. And I feel like it's something that people are almost secretive about, almost ashamed of. And if this show stands for anything, it's that we shouldn't be ashamed of the way we love or make love. And yeah, I would say that recognize that online dating is the most common way for people to meet folks now. The research is beginning to show that. The survey data is beginning to show that. So that being the case, it's not for everybody, but it may well be for you. And if you haven't tried it, do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Can I make one more maybe comment on what you were talking about with the last caller?
Yeah. Rapid fire. Hit us. Sure.
There is, I would say, a good reason to take another life, and that would be if you are being assaulted and you or your body is being violated and you do not give consent to that, then that's when you have the right to protect yourself.
Yeah, self-defense model.
Immediate danger to health and life.
Well, not necessarily even that. Just if I do not give consent, then this thing should not, and I do not want this thing in my body. I'm speaking hypothetically, of course, as a male. But it just seems if a woman is assaulted, physically assaulted, however, someone says, I'm going to take your bone marrow because you're a perfect match, or your kidney or whatever, you have a right to defend yourself from that. It's crazy for me that my bodily secretion can take that right away from a woman. I
think that's a really valid point. Yeah.
And anyway.
So, yeah, thank you
so much for what you do, and thanks for your time.
Hey, absolutely. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, I would say that is a good point coming from a female.
Kind of another model for how to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, it's there's just so many things to unpack there. So many things. We're going to have to do an episode on this at some point.
No question. No question.
So